People obsess over followers, status, algorithms, promotions, relationships, validation, all things that are not fully under their control. And then they wonder why they are anxious. Marcus Aurelius would call that insanity. He would say, you are investing emotional energy into variables you do not command. Imagine you post a video and it doesn't perform well. The average person spirals. I'm not good enough. The algorithm hates me. People don't value me. Marcus would say, did you do your duty? Did you create with integrity? Did you act with discipline? If yes, your job is complete. The result is not yours. That level of detachment is not weakness. It is psychological dominance. Another concept Marcus constantly returns to is the discipline of perception. He reminds himself, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. That line sounds almost impossible in today's world, where everyone feels offended by everything. But what he's teaching is this: events are neutral. Your interpretation gives them power. Let's say someone criticizes your appearance online. Your mind instantly labels it as humiliation. But Marcus would ask, is it a fact or is it noise? If it's false, ignore it. If it's true, improve. If it's irrelevant, discard it. Notice the pattern. No emotional drama, no ego explosion. Just rational evaluation. This is why Marcus Aurelius was unshakable, not because life was easy, but because he trained his perception. He understood something most people don't. The mind can be trained like a muscle. Every morning, Marcus prepared himself for difficult people. He wrote that he would meet the arrogant, the jealous, the selfish, the deceitful. But instead of resenting them, he reminded himself, they act from ignorance. In modern terms, he expected negativity, and because he expected it, he wasn't shocked by it. Today, people expect comfort. They expect fairness. They expect constant validation. And when reality violates that expectation, they collapse. Marcus would say, adjust your expectations, not in a pessimistic way, but in a realistic one. Another core teaching is memento mori. Remember you will die. Now don't scroll away. This is not dark for the sake of being dramatic. Marcus constantly meditated on mortality to shrink his ego and clarify his priorities. He wrote about how emperors, generals, philosophers, all are reduced to ash. Why? To remind himself that fame is temporary. In modern society, people destroy their peace for temporary recognition. They argue endlessly in comment sections. They obsess over image. They fear embarrassment more than they fear wasting their life. Marcus would ask, will this matter when you are dead? The answer to most of your anxieties is no. Mortality filters triviality. When you truly understand that your time is limited, you stop performing for strangers and start living with intention. Then there's the concept of inner citadel. Marcus believed that inside every human being is a core rational faculty that cannot be touched unless you allow it. Think of it as your mental fortress. No insult can enter it without your permission. No failure can break it unless you surrender to it. No chaos can invade it unless you open the gates. In modern life, people leave their gates wide open. They wake up and immediately absorb news, social media outrage, comparisons, negativity. Marcus would call that self-inflicted disturbance. Your mind is sacred territory. Guard it. He also emphasized virtue over outcome. For Marcus, the only true good was virtue. Wisdom, courage, justice, self-discipline. Not wealth, not fame, not pleasure. Let's be honest, if someone offered you massive success but required you to compromise your integrity, Most people would rationalize it. Marcus would refuse. Because to him, losing virtue was worse than losing power. And that's radical today. Imagine choosing character over clout, truth over popularity, discipline over comfort. That is Stoicism in action. Here's a modern example. You're working a job you dislike. You complain daily. You blame the company. You feel stuck. Marcus would ask, what is within your control right now? Your effort, your skill development, your attitude, your next step. If you can leave, prepare strategically. If you cannot, perform with excellence anyway. Why? Because your character is being shaped either way. Marcus didn't wait for perfect conditions to practice philosophy. He practiced it in war camps. You don't need a retreat in the mountains. You need discipline in traffic, in meetings, in arguments, in boredom. That's the true meaning of Stoicism. Not emotional suppression, but emotional mastery. Not indifference, but clarity. Not passivity, but intentional action without attachment. Marcus Aurelius was an emperor who understood that the real empire to rule was the self. And that is the confrontation. You want control over your career, your relationships, your audience, your environment. But you don't fully control your thoughts. You want respect, but you haven't conquered your impulses. You want peace, but you feed chaos through comparison, resentment, and ego. Marcus would tell you the hard truth. Conquer yourself first. Everything else is secondary. And when you do, something shifts. You stop reacting. You start responding. You stop chasing. You start building. You stop fearing loss. You start focusing on virtue. That is power. Not loud power, not performative strength, but quiet, unbreakable sovereignty. If this challenged your thinking, if it made you uncomfortable, that's the point. Stoicism is not meant to soothe you. It's meant to sharpen you. Subscribe to Stoic Gateway if you're ready to train your mind like a Roman emperor and build unshakable mental discipline in a chaotic modern world. And watch the next video where we break down Seneca's brutal philosophy on time and why you're wasting more of it than you think. This is Stoic Gateway. Master your mind, or it will master you.